Hello, dear friends. Welcome back. It is hour number 2 of the Jordan Rich Show on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. And now joining us, WCCO Radio in St. Paul, Minneapolis. We, of course, broadcast and simulcast on 2 huge CBS stations, WBZ in Boston and CCO in Minnesota. And I thank my listeners and friends out there. We have them all over the place in the Midwest, and it's great to have you aboard. This is going to me, this was a surprise and a pleasant one, and one that made me stop and take notice, because you don't associate the therapy for, say, Parkinson's disease with something like boxing. But believe it or not, there is success in this area, and it's something called rock steady boxing. I've learned all about it from my friend Steve Derman, who has been dealing with Parkinson's and other issues, and he brought the attention to me of rock steady boxing and also said you've got to talk with Al Latulippe. So I'm going to talk with both of these gentlemen right now, Steve and Al. Andrew, if you'll bring them up, I appreciate that. Gentlemen, welcome to the Jordan Rich Show.
Good evening, Jordan.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing, Jordan?
Hey, Al, thank you. Let me start with you, Al. This is not something that started here in Boston. I guess it started in the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken, and Indianapolis, I guess. Who came up with this idea and concept, and then we'll talk about how it works. How did this all come about?
Well, this was Scott Newman, who was a former Marion County prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
This happened in 2006. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's and actually went to a friend of his and asked him to train him because he said he didn't want to just let the disease take care of him, And so he spoke to a friend of his who happened to be a boxing trainer, and he said, the only way I know how to train you is boxing.
How
and he said,
about that?
You know what? Let's do it.
Okay, and that has transformed a lot of people and made their lives a lot better, and it's become a very popular and important therapeutic tool and a fun one. Steve, tell me about your experience with this, and then we're going to get into more detail here. Where did you learn about this, Steve?
Well, this actually came to my attention when we were living in Ohio at the Cleveland Clinic. I was doing a tandem bicycle exercise, high-intensity exercise program,
mm-hmm.
and boxing was coming just into the arena of alternative therapies.
And that's a nice pun, arena. I like that. You said the right word. And I've got to ask how and why it works so well. And I think the reason I'm asking that is because it sounds like, boxing being a sort of a violent sort of, jabbing sport, but there is some great benefit. Al, what's going on here?
It's the forced intense exercise. It's working on things that Parkinson's take away from the people affected by it. The balance, hand-eye coordination, agility, mental focus, rhythm. These are things that boxers train to get better at.
Right.
And these just happen to be the same things that people with Parkinson's are starting to lose.
Well, you mentioned training, and I know that when we hear about the big fights, the heavyweight fights, that the training goes on for months and months, and it's very vigorous. And to be a boxer, even an amateur boxer, just to hang out for a couple of rounds, you have to be in good shape. So, Steve, is this the kind of thing where you've felt improvement in your physical shape, but just by doing the workout?
Yes, we've only been in about four weeks now, but
mm-hmm.
Jordan, as I've told you before, the medicines and the surgical procedures can help control symptoms, but often at the expense of severe side effects, and those side effects can be very debilitating. This is a great alternative to improve the quality of life to whatever degree you're able to keep up with Al.
Ah, okay. Al, what's your background? Obviously, you're in the boxing game. Tell me more about you.
I started off as a personal trainer. I went to National Personal Training Institute in Florida. Started off with MMA and trained a little bit in MMA, and then fell in love with the boxing. A buddy of mine who was actually my coach at the time, Carlos Lovato, he just, the way he taught boxing and how passionate he was, he made me fall in love with the boxing, and kind of took off from there. And that's basically it.
Yep.
Personal training. I'm strength and conditioning for the bones, osteoblast certified, and I've always loved training and coaching people, so this is a great fit for me.
Let me give the website, rocksteadyboxing.org, and there are various levels and places to do this. And Steve, where do you do your training with Al?
We do it actually in Newton at a site that has graciously donated their time for the
No Nantum Boxing Club.
Oh, okay.
Great people there.
Okay. And give us a sort of bird's-eye view as to what goes on in one of these training sessions. I'll start with you, Steve. What's it like?
Well, I can tell you every week it's been different.
Mm-hmm.
Some weeks we work on the strength and conditioning and don't even touch the bag, the punching bag.
Right.
Other weeks we do drills that incorporate the punching bag. Very, very quick drills, but a great bunch. I have to tell you, Jordan, there's a great bunch of people in this program that
I agree.
That put in a great deal of effort, regardless of their abilities.
Yeah, and Al, who are some of the folks, let's say, who would be joining Steve? I mean, it's people from different walks of life. Is it men and women?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're men and women.
Okay. And when you talk about the punching bag and putting on the gloves and things like that, that's what we think of when we think of sparring or training. What other kinds of strength conditioning are you talking about for people in the boxing level?
We work a lot of different things, agility work. Like we'll use the agility ladder and work on the gait and shuffling. So what we'll do is we'll set up a bunch of cones and walk around the cones and do some drills doing that, and then hurdles, very low hurdles, and we'll just high step over the hurdles just to force the longer step instead of shuffling. It's a bunch of different stuff. A lot of it's just functional movement, everyday movement, because we're not trying to pitch this is a cure. It's all about quality of life, and that's what we're trying to do, is give them the best quality of life.
And Steve, we're talking with Steve Derman, who is one of those participating in the Rocksteady boxing program, and Al Latulippe, who's the trainer. Steve, what does it do for you mentally, I mean, and emotionally when you get into the ring and start to lace up the gloves and hit the bag or just train or be with other people? Tell me how it impacts you.
Well, there's a camaraderie that's difficult to describe, Jordan. It's something that only people with the Parkinson's can really empathize with one another. And maybe someone is not having a top of the day when they get in the morning, but boy, I tell you, by the time they leave in the afternoon, they're sitting on top of the world.
That's great. And Al, how long a program can this be? Can it go on indefinitely to keep people engaged?
I feel like it could. I really do. It's such a great program, and it, like Steve said, it's the camaraderie is unbelievable, and that's the biggest part of it. I think we force that mental side of it. Like, don't give up. Just keep fighting it day by day. And Greg Gahabe, who's actually my partner, I started this program with him. He has a saying that says, a bad day at Rocksteady is better than a good day at home.
I like that. That's great. That's very good.
So true.
Yeah. I guess the question that people have on their minds now is, are any of the folks involved, Steve and others, ever actually going at it a little bit? Any sparring?
No, it's non-contact fitness inspired. Okay. So the only time there's contact made is either punching the bags or the focus mitts. Other than that, there's no contact being made. They're not punching each other.
So you're not turning Steve into an animal, is what I'm saying.
You know, he is an animal. let's not get around that. He is. These people in my class are unbelievable. They go in there and they go 100 miles an hour and just pound the bags and go at every exercise. I don't have to say anything twice. They're just giving 100%, and I appreciate it. It's just
that is so
the best
cool
thing you can ask for.
And I've got to think, Steve, in your case and the case of others, there's something a little bit of sort of imagination taking over or fantasy when you're even in any kind of boxing milieu, because I mean you got to be thinking, here I am going up against Ali, and I mean, you know, if I'm a 90-pound weakling. If I put on a pair of boxing gloves, I'd look silly, but I would probably think I'm out there, you know, Rocky Marciano time, you know. I don't know if that's ever happened, if you get the feeling that you're Rocky Balboa and the crowd is cheering you on.
Well, you know, by the time I get the gloves on and laced up, it's half the day could be over. So.
Well, it sounds like a great program. So, Al, how can people, obviously I've given the website a few times, but if people are interested, is there room in the class for more?
So we have the Newton class that Steve is in,
mm-hmm.
and the Newton class is all run through Beth Israel.
Okay.
So the Beth Israel Medical Center, they'd have to call Lissa Kapist or Lauren Anderson and try to sign up. It's a different program than what I run. I have a program in Lawrence and in Concord, New Hampshire. And those programs, they can directly contact me. You can go online. We have our own website. We're actually on the rocksteadyboxing.org on the affiliate. And then we have our own website, rocksteadyboxingBoston.com.
Okay.
It has all the information on there. My phone number, 978-289-0799. If anybody wants to give me a call and sign up. We have classes in Lawrence, Massachusetts, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10:30 to 12, and then 12:30 to 2 o'clock. And then we have classes in Concord, New Hampshire on Friday.
So if people want to go to rocksteadyboxingboston.com, they can find out where you are, Al, and also they can search through and contact Beth Israel Hospital and somehow connect. And Steve,
talk to Lauren Anderson is probably the best person to talk to in regards to that.
Okay, great. So, Steve, what does your lovely wife think about this?
Well, she's there, and I need her at times to hold me up, Jordan.
In your corner, in other words,
she's
right?
She's a cornerman.
It's very important to have cornermen. Well, gentlemen, I thank you. I'm glad we brought some attention to this. Steve alerted me to this, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. And God bless you, Al, for doing what you're doing. And
thank you very much.
Do you also train others as well in the fight game?
Yes, I
do. Okay.
So can I just say one thing? I'd like to congratulate Alexis Santos and his coach Sean Farley. Tonight they just won the IBO Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship by knockout. I work with Alexis Santos. I do his strength and conditioning and some pad work here and there with him. And I did work with some amateur boxers. At the time, I'm not working with anybody right now, though.
Well, congratulations to you and to him, and more importantly, Al, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's a great service. And Steve, you put together a good show here. Thank you for being the producer on this one. I appreciate it. And I'm really, really happy to spread the good word. So go to rocksteadyboxing.org, or you can also check out the local rocksteadyboxingboston.com and find out how Parkinson's patients are doing well with this special therapy, strength training therapy involving the fight game. All right. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Get some sleep.
Thank you, Jordan.
It's time to get to training. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye. Thank you. All right. That was really kind of interesting. Parkinson's disease is so challenging, and that's a euphemism. Obviously, I'm being very, very careful in the way I describe it, but to know that people have that kind of grit and determination, and Al sounds like a terrific guy. Well done. All right, we'll take a short break and come back.